Okay, welcome and getting ready for preparations for the next Big 12 opponent in Oklahoma State. Sunday coming back to work, we took it easy on them just a little bit, a little easier than we had. Not to say that we're going to do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but Sunday we did just a little bit. I think we're at that point in the season where we won't practice on Sunday nights, and we'll remain doing that for the rest of the season. That's fairly common, but did get the Baylor game over with. Physical, very physical game. One of the more physical games that I've seen since I've been here. Had a lot of guys banged up and beat up, but it's part of going into the 8th game as well. So. I basically asked the guys if they were satisfied with the win, or if they weren't satisfied with where they're at as a team right now. Unanimous, not satisfied, want to continue to press forward and try to keep rolling on with where we're at in the Big 12 right now. Another Big 12 road game this weekend, challenging opponent. Guys have won 8 to 11 games a year for the last 5 years or so, been to 8 straight bowl games. We understand who our opponent is. We know a lot about them, and we know that they're going to be ready to play. No game in the Big 12 is easy to play. It doesn't matter if you're playing at home. It doesn't matter if you're playing on the road. And to be quite frank, it really doesn't matter which of the 9 other opponents it is. So we got to be ready to go, and I think our guys will. Offensively, Coach Gundy's been doing the same stuff offensively there for quite some time. Is gonna put good running backs out there. Is gonna be physical. They got 3 guys at running back that they can put out there and can get the job done. Desmond Rowland's a big physical back. Tyreek Hill, they'll put him in the backfield. They'll put him at receiver. They'll move him everywhere. One of the more dynamic guys I've seen. Is one of the faster guys I've ever seen, one of the more dynamic guys I've seen as well. Dax Garman, their quarterback, is getting better. The thing with him, and I know quite a bit about it, that he's an Oklahoma kid that moved to Texas, didn't play his senior year, signed with Arizona, redshirted, didn't play, transferred to Oklahoma State, had to sit out a couple of years. So hasn't played a lot of football and is continuously getting better. Does a great job of throwing the deep ball. Probably the thing that concerns you more than anything is how accurate he is with deep balls. They got 4 or 5 receivers that are long and fast that can go get it. It's how they beat Texas Tech. So that's one thing that we're going to have to be able to do a good job of is defending their deep ball. Defensively, been doing the same stuff for quite some time, same stuff that they were doing when I was there. Glenn Spencer's their DC doing a really good job. I thought Oklahoma State had the best defense in the league a year ago. They've been hard to run the ball on. They're hard to run the ball on this year. Got some new kids in the secondary. Been giving up some plays in the pass game, as you guys well know. They'll probably benefit from getting a cornerback. They lost 6, the Lampkin kid, who's a really good player, played against us last year. They replaced him with a true freshman. They got 3 or 4 guys in the secondary that are all true freshmen to be, and those guys will continue to get better, but they're getting the kid back. The word is that he'll be back, so he'll give them a boost as well. But they're a good outfit. They do a great job of stopping the run, as you all well know. We do everything we can to get the run game going. Won't be any different this week, and when they outnumber us in the box, we got to be able to throw the ball downfield. Special teams wise, their return guy, obviously Hill, is as dynamic as anybody in the country. He ran right by Florida State. He won the game for him at Kansas. We, as we all know, have to focus hard on our coverage units, which need to continue to get better. I thought our kickoff team last week was great. I thought our punt team was better. But that's going to be a big part of the game that we need to continue to get better at. So we'll be challenging. We know it. We get it. We're ready to get back to work here today and have a good week of practice to be able to travel to Stillwater to play in. It's going to be hot. It's homecoming. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be loud. They're going to be they're going to be ready to play. You know, they didn't play very well a week ago at TCU. You know, we got them last year, so they'll be ready to play. We understand that. So with that, we'll take some questions.
You mentioned that TCU game last week. Do you think that makes them more dangerous, tougher opponent heading into their game this week?
Well, in one sense, I mean, yeah, probably. But the other side of that is every game is going to be hard. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, what their record is. It doesn't matter, you know, who they played last week. We know who they are. We know they got good players. They got great coaches. They got great schemes. You know, they're last year they were very senior oriented, so they're replacing some guys because of graduation. Well, that's just college football. They've been recruiting well for the last decade. Their facilities are awesome. Their location's awesome. So they're going to get good quality kids there. So regardless of what happened last week, regardless of what happened last year, if we don't have our guys ready to play, then we're not going to play well. And they're capable of winning. Each and every game that we line up in, you know, we feel like we're capable of winning. But if we don't play well, we're gonna have our work cut out for us.
And our coach takes something from every stop along the way. What did you take out of your year at Oklahoma State and working with Gundy?
That was about 4 years ago. Wow. You know the one thing that you know, I thought the organizational things I took a little bit from each stop. You know, from each of the head coaches that I was under. I was fortunate to be able to be under some pretty good ones that have been pretty successful. You know, he's always been an old school minded football coach. Okay, he was a quarterback, tough kid. You know, Pat Jones was his head coach. He was an old school. You know, just play hard, play tough, play physical, play nasty. I mean, that was what he was brought up in under Coach Jones. And when I went to Oklahoma State, our offense started becoming more physical. There is a lot of at Texas Tech where we were physical, but we were always physical going backwards. You know, in pass protection and stuff like that. Where with the way his offense was geared with Joe Wickline and myself, it became a little bit more dig your hand down in the dirt and go forward, which is what you currently see. And I think
did we see that in the Bella game? Yeah. Did we see that in the Bella game this week?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Our offense, and that's the way they play. That's the way they play. They're physical, and they're a run-first team, and they're going to punch you in the mouth. That's exactly what we did. We're equipped to do that because of recruiting, because of coaching, because of scheme, because of mentality. You know, got some older kids up front. We were very physical. We were as physical on Saturday as we've been in the 4 years that I've been here. You know, I'd like to think we started headed in that direction due to the fact that I was at Oklahoma State, and that was the mentality that existed there.
You mentioned that they're going to try to stop the run first. Their secondary has been giving up those big plays. Do you see a lot of opportunities for you guys to maybe even change gears from what you did this past week and test that a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, if we need to, we better be able to do it. That's no different than any game. If we don't do a very good job of running the ball because of we're not playing as physical as we need to because of what their scheme is trying to accomplish, then we better be able to protect and throw the ball down the field. You know, that's no different going into this game based on what their pass defense stats are as opposed to, you know, the first game of the year and what Alabama's pass defense stats were. You know, you got to be able to take what the defense is giving you and being able to execute it.
Danny, he's had a number of offensive coordinators in a row because they've gone other places. But the way he tells it, they've all just kind of come in and run his offense and called his plays. Similar to what you had to do?
Nah,
Right.
I mean, he knows that. He knows that. I mean, there's a 0% chance I was leaving my post at Houston. had a good job for a good coach and had a good quarterback coming back. I was interfered with none, and he knows that, and that was part of the deal. You know, what I see on offense is what I did when I was there. So I think he's had some guys come in and do what the base was. How much has changed terminology, I don't know. But a lot of the plays that they're running, a lot of the tempo that they're using, a lot of the signals that they're using are the same ones that I used when I was there.
So teams have had some success getting to their quarterback. Is that a product of maybe a rebuild offensive line, or what's been going on there?
Yeah, you know, they're in some transition at that position as well. Joe Wickline was around there for a long time. Good friend of mine is at Texas. You know, that's he's a good football coach. So there was some transition with bodies. They're in some transition with the coaching staff as well, much like what we went through a year ago. You know, with some new bodies coming in, with Coach Crick coming in, just takes time for in order to be able to be functioning on all cylinders, so to speak. So I'm sure they'll continue to get better and better.
What did Saturday do for your guys' confidence? I mean, as far as getting what you were able to get to Petty?
Oh yeah, I mean we're a pretty confident bunch defensively right now. You know, Coach Gibby again. I can't express what he's been able to do with the guys. It's been fun to watch. It's been awesome. He'll be the first to admit it's easier to call some of the schemes and some of the plays when the kids are coming to the sidelines giving him a bunch of confidence. You know, we had a great week of practice last week. The guys on the sidelines were tuned in. We're engaged. We're encouraging Coach Gibby to run specific things, which as a coach, that gives you confidence to be able to call specific things. Getting to the quarterback a week ago was the key to the game. And you know, we can talk about the man coverage, which was as good as I've seen since I've been here. We can talk about the next guy in with depth. We KJ Dillon, Carl Joseph, Drayvon Henry all played their best game of the year. Covered, tackled well. Ricky Rumph, Icky Banks, Chestnut Worley when they were in there. It's all good stuff, but unless you get to the quarterback, that does not matter. And we got to the quarterback. We sacked him 4 times. Shaq Riddick was awesome. Golson got there a couple of times, but some of the blitzes that Gibby called, guys got there and hit him early, which affected him throughout the course of the game.
Last year, the Oklahoma State game was Trickett's first start. Obviously, the injury and what happened after that changed things. But from what you've seen consistency out of him this year and just what he's been able to do, I mean, how impressive has he been for you?
Good. He's been great. He understands the game. He's, you know, we've watched that game from last year and we weren't very good. I mean, it was painful to watch. We won the game defensively. We played well last year against them. We did enough on offense. Charles Sims made some plays, but we weren't very good. You know, so he's night and day better than what he was. He's consistent. He is running the offense. He's the steady guy. You know, when he turned the ball over twice in the first quarter, it didn't affect him. You know, he went out there and just kept playing and knew what he had to do in order to put our guys in position to be able to win. Continues to develop a good working relationship with not only Kevin. That's easy to see. That's easy to write about and talk about. But him and Mario being on the same page, him and DeKeel and Jordan Thompson being on the same page is pretty important.
What's the best
Him
thing?
seeing run checks and getting us into run plays that are important is he's doing all that stuff really well.
Is there a singular best thing that's standing out for him right now in your
No,
eyes?
no, I don't think so. I mean, he's a steady guy. He's doing a lot of things right. So some of the things aren't flashy, but you know, there's a lot of steady things out there that he's doing well.
Speaking of Dana, he had a lot going on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just from your perspective, from when you found out to the end of the day, what did you see? What did you guys do just to I don't know, I don't know, just to observe that and maybe help him through, get him through it.
He was fine. I mean, he had a 24-hour bug. I mean, I told him Michael Jordan did it, so he could do it. You know, if you're sick and go out there and play well, then what's the big deal? It's a little stomach bug, you know.
His dad?
Well, we had a conversation after the game. You know, he found out his mom was here, and they talked about it after the game. But at that point, Rick was in a good place. He was fine. They had to watch him because he was yelling at the computer and, you know, all that. So they were. I mean, you know, they were all disappointed he couldn't coach in his game that night. And I'm like, if that's all you're worried about, then everybody's in a good place.
Does anything surprise you about the way the Big 12 race has unfolded, and do you agree with the thought that the way teams keep beating each other up, it makes it harder to get somebody into the playoff?
Well, you can't worry about it. That's happening in some of these other leagues too. You know, I mean, you know, we're pretty fortunate to be in a Power 5 conference where all the teams are good. Makes it fun, makes it challenging for coaches, makes it challenging for players, makes it fun and exciting for the fan base. It's good for college football. I think it's going to continue to head that way, just because of the parity that exists out there. You know, what it looks like now, I doubt it looks like that at the end of the year. You know, as far as what the rankings are and the teams that are projected to be entering into that. I can't worry about any of that. We're not going to worry about where we're at in the standings. We're not going to worry about where we're at in rankings. You know, all we're worried about is preparing for Oklahoma State and trying to be in a good spot at the end of the week. You know, the goal is on Saturday after the game to be in a good place. That's all we can worry about right now. That's all we can control, and that's all we're going to worry about.
Dana, that's a huge win for your team on against Baylor, and you could see it in the excitement of the players after the game and your players and so forth. Is the coaching staff having to do anything this week to really refocus the team back to Oklahoma State to come away from that big victory?
Well, that's our job. That's our job. You know, so we better. You know, and you know, I think if we had a very young and mature team, then that would be a huge challenge. You know, we have a very experienced older team that likes each other, that plays hard for each other, that understands what we're trying to accomplish, and really what we're trying to accomplish is to win the next game. I don't know any other way of approaching it with the team. You know, and I think we got a lot of guys that have a lot of experience, that went through a lot last year, that went through a lot 2 years ago, that want to be in a good place at the end of the week.
How much does that fall on your older guys?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, they understand what's ahead of us. You know, the same, you know, what I thought was a key to winning the Texas Tech game was the fact a lot of our guys have been to Lubbock and they understood what it was about. Well, those same guys have been to Stillwater, and they understand what's there. They understand the facilities, the recruiting, the quality of player, the atmosphere. You know, they know it's going to be challenging, and again, the overall goal is to be in a good place at the end of the week. So you better do what you're supposed to on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in order to make that happen.
It's only been a day, but any update on the guys who left last week's game and didn't come back? You still expect them to possibly play this week?
Yeah, there's probably going to be a few that play. There's probably going to be a few that don't. That's all dependent on. And we haven't had a practice with them since. So I haven't seen them outside. We'll probably have 5 or 6 guys in green jerseys today. Which means non-contact. Hopefully that progresses to contact guys tomorrow. It's the best I got for you at this point. Nobody's been ruled out. Nobody's long-term. And that's good news for us. You know, because it was such a physical game, because guys got knocked out of the game, I would, and you know this based on previous experiences, if anybody was long-term, I'd tell you, nobody's long-term.
Does that force you to go even deeper into your cornerbacks than you have?
Maybe, you know, the only, you know, Nana, got some snaps a week ago and will continue to get some snaps. He was elevated a couple weeks ago from the scout team to the big leagues. Probably do the same thing with Keyshawn Richardson this week.